Good morning.
Guess we're
Today
Friday.
is, I believe it's 27th of August. We are coming to the end of summer. It's actually in the low 60s today, a little cooler today, and no bugs so far, knock on wood. And we are revisiting New Manitou today, and we are going to go in there and see if we can find that damn pond that eluded me the last time. That is our mission today. We'll also be covering some community shenanigans today. There's a fair amount to talk about there. And that's the plan. We'll see what develops and take things from there. Okay, we're back. We are making our way to New Manitou. I promised some, ranting of community shenanigans. There's been a bit this last week or two. Where to begin? I guess we'll start in Russia. So there's a Russian Bigfoot research guy, Igor something, claiming that he received, of all things, a phone call from Sasquatch. Let that register for a minute. I go out in the woods, I beat myself up every other week or so and go way into the weeds. And who knew Bigfoot will just call you on the phone and hop in a car, go for pizza. Who knew it was that easy? Yet Igor still comes away with no photo or anything, so. As the saying goes, folks, you can't make this shit up. But, yeah. The funnier thing, I had heard about this, and last week actually saw it on Facebook. One more addition to the joke that is the conference industry in Bigfooting. And I first of all, let me say this. I find it kind of funny that people have the temerity to call these things conferences and, in some cases, symposiums. There's a highbrow sounding word. These things are basically Bigfoot themed Comic-Cons. You go and listen to the same 5 or 6 Bigfooting influencers, I guess that's the best word to throw at this, and hear their latest rhetoric, which is a repetition from their last conference appearance that they get paid for. This is basically their job, I guess. And then you buy t-shirts, you talk to the other Bigfoot geeks, but now there's a few people out there, I'm not going to mention names, I don't want to get into it on an individual basis. It seems to me like the concept is just funny, but there's a few people out there that actually have the hubris to commission action figures of themselves. You can now get a Matt Moneymaker action figure and play Finding Bigfoot in your kid's bedroom with them or some BS. That one just leaves me shaking my head, like, what level of freaking ego do you have to have and suffer from that you actually have an action figure of yourself commissioned? That is comical. When you sell your action figures at your Bigfoot themed Comic-Con. That is just damn funny. What else is going on? Those are the two funny ones. Then you've got a guy roaming around various big Facebook groups. Having had dealings with this individual, no, I'm not going to glorify him by naming his name. Some may find that cowardly. I just don't think he deserves the attention by name. But he's exploiting, in my opinion, in a rather large sense of hypocrisy, the Bob Garrett hoax from a year and a half, 2 years ago, involving, at least on some level, Wes Germer from Sasquatch Chronicles. He may have been involved in this, if I remember the details right. He may have merely known about the hoax and then kept his mouth shut for the sake of his podcast ratings, neither being really good. But his his cred is he's like the latest influencer to fall from grace because of this. No big shock, because if you have somebody who builds up a following over time and you watch them long enough, they will fall from grace for some shenanigans. You have, let's see, last year it was the How to Hunt guy, and he fell in with Scott Carpenter and some other woo types, and he basically claimed he wouldn't write a book, he wouldn't make a documentary as he reads off people's emails that they send to him, not even his own content technically, in front of a freaking very scenic blue screen. By blue screen, I mean one of those things that they put in front of the weather. And I know, because one of the ones he used, a stunning mountainscape, is the same wallpaper on my Kodi box at home of the Matterhorn. So, you know, I mean, are you actually out in the woods, or are you in your man cave in your basement doing this shit? I don't know. And, you know, here's the thing. If you folks who like these individuals want to attack me for calling BS, before you do, and you strain your typing muscles, I don't care. I sound like How to Hunt guy when I say that, but my channel has maybe, I don't know, 120 followers, subscribers. It's not a big channel. I'm not doing this for the money, obviously. This is me going out hiking, looking for evidence, and sharing what I do and find along the way, sharing my thoughts too. It's a vlog, it's all it is. If it bothers you that much, oh well. Anyway, disclaimer over. So this guy's making the rounds, and he's acting like this is yesterday's headline and he's the one who unearthed all this. The person in question started his Bigfooting career believing in an obvious BS story about a Bigfoot hiding or living under a tree in California, and he and his maybe girlfriend would go out and talk to Bigfoot under the tree and whatnot. If that's not a hoax or just utter nonsense, I don't know what is. But now he, like many of the people he currently rubs elbows with, is hoaxbuster skeptic guy, when before he was Captain Woo. But the other thing this guy is massively two-faced. I know that from experience. Again, I'm not going to go too deep into the weeds on that, but the Bob Garrett hoax, and somewhere on one of the groups I run on, or pages I run on Facebook, there's a guy who actually busted it, who helps me admin that very non-active Facebook group now, and posted a very in-depth breakdown of this hoax in all its many nuances. So, ironically, I'm going to do two things, one of which is fairly hypocritical. One, this is not new news, it's old news. And if you want the whole 911, go to this group, what the hell is it? Sasquatch Research, A Critical Look, or something like that. This guy and I made the group together. I barely know the guy, but he made a group and made me an admin one day, so I went with it. Go figure. Anyway, the full breakdown is there from the guy who broke it down, and he has a long video breaking down literally everything with this. So, I mean, if you want to know all this stuff and you haven't heard about it before, that's probably the most complete work I'm aware of. Cole's also made a breakdown, so you might have something on his website or YouTube page, or channel, sorry. Better reading material than this idiot in his little PDF he typed up He's just another coattail chaser, as far as I'm concerned. There's more. I knew there was. The action figure thing is still, to me, hysterical. He posted this in the coalition on Facebook, and this is the resident Bigfoot skeptical group. I'll be nice, I'll call them skeptics. They are, if you're familiar with the term scofftic, that's closer to what many of them are, but for the sake of avoiding drama, skeptics, whatever. So he posted it there, and then the head of the coalition goes off on a rant about the Bigfooting mafia, which is ironic because this group at one point, not so far in the past, wanted to be the Bigfooting mafia, if there ever was a Bigfooting mafia, but there isn't, and I'll tell you why. Because so long as people in the community are going to be chasing dollars and fame and subscribers and likes and all this BS, and they're trying to jump over each other, yes, there is a crowd within the Bigfoot realm who will prop up each other's BS for the sake of being one of the in crowd, but people fall out of fame, you have name and shames, you have people being banned, thrown out, all this, and they are constantly shifting sand, so it's more like sand piles throwing mud at each other. That's a better analogy of what the community actually is. It's sad, but that's what it is. And I think I made a comparison in a previous video, liking it to the forums of the early 2000s relating around martial arts where, my God, I thought you had egos there. Bigfoot puts that to shame. And you're talking about the competition among egos to basically roam around in things like this and hunt for the Easter Bunny, or what a lot of people hold to be the equivalent of the Easter Bunny. And as a result, if you wonder why people in the mainstream don't take the subject seriously, I'd say 90% of it is shenanigans like this. So you have people out there and their whole YouTube shtick. I'm talking about Richter, people like Michael Merchant. It's ironic that they do similar things with different presentation, but their message is largely the same. And this week, it's funny to me that they were actually covering a lot of the same material because these two guys despise each other. But they are on the same page with every subject that they cover in their videos this week. It's funny. I find that funny. I'm not mocking either one of them. I find the irony of that pretty funny. So, there is no Bigfooting mafia. You have large groups and people who are egos in the community, and there are those that run the coalition that more or less fall into that category. You have the people that run the BFRO. Something just moved up ahead. You have the money makers. There's another guy, Ron Bowles, I mentioned last week. I've talked to him. He's much easier to deal with than Moneymaker, who's an arrogant ass, among other things. But yeah, again, the guy who I cover in the previous video from last week, which I've lazily not gotten around to uploading because I was waiting to see if we were going to have power for a week or two because of the hurricane that came through last week. Well, Tropical Storm Henri. We dodged the bullet there, but anyway, the money makers, Wes Germer, I guess does fall into that category because he has his. You have a couple of podcasters and they have their narrative they present. I think he's the one, the big scary Bigfoot that's out to chase you down in the woods and eat you. A couple of other people share that narrative too, but whatever. I think it's like there's Matt Knapp, there's Wes Germer, and then I guess I don't really know if Will Jevning falls into that category. I know he has a podcast, but I don't know if he's got the same rabid following that the other two guys have. I got into it once briefly with Matt Knapp over making fun of them calling the Bigfoots biggers. I mean, the Bigfoot's boogers, which is just such an anti-intellectual thing to say. But then again, Matt Moneymaker calls them Bigfoots, which sounds very, very lame to me as well. They're Sasquatch, plural or single, in my world anyway. Hold on, gotta kind of dodge under that. So there's that. It's also funny that you watch people like Loren Coleman, more so Matt Moneymaker, calling for Richter's head because Richter is fairly merciless in his presentation. I guess nothing, I thought I saw something, guess not. Richter's fairly merciless and to the point when he calls people out and just does not care. Merchant too, but Richter basically has a show where his whole shtick is basically just dragging people through their self-created mud. And sometimes it's kind of mean, to me, but sometimes it's just, yeah, it's funny because it's spot on and it's just brutal. He doesn't pull any punches. He even briefly had me on there one day. And rather than get all pissy about it, I chuckled and moved on with my day. I'm still out here doing what I'm doing. My world didn't end. Matt Moneymaker says Richter is poisonous and vicious and all these things and should be banned from all the conferences. Because God forbid you have a source of the truth running around your cash cow, you know, selling your action figures and things. But, you know, if that's your thing, you be you, whatever. Loren Coleman did too. I think Loren Coleman accused Richter of putting him in a wheelchair or some such thing. I don't know what's going on with that. Considering that Coleman is in Maine and Richter lives, last I knew, he's either in Arizona or California. Sorry if you don't like me telling your home state, but point is he's on the other end of the country. So given that Coleman has a fairly long history of begging for money for his museum, I'm sorry, that's one of those things where I'm going to need some proof. But anyway, enough shenanigan related banter for now. Shortly we'll be heading into the undergrowth, heading through a stream, and not cool, not chilly, but cool temperatures. And it's not as cool as I was dreading. If it was, I might have came up with a plan B. We're going to stick to the plan as is and make our way into New Manitou and see if the family unit's around. If they are, great. Maybe I'll get something and get lucky. If not, then, well, we'll figure that out when we get there. But I guess we're going to do a segment break here because I got some ground to cover yet. And we'll be back in a bit. Okay, we're in the beginning of our journey towards New Manitou. I ended up coming in a little bit to the left of where I normally do, but these things happen and we're still in the same place, so I know where I am. It's not a major faux pas. I was off by like maybe 50 feet. Not a big deal. I'm just looking for tracks real quick. This area has given up tracks before, but it's a wee bit more overgrown right now, so I don't know how fruitful that'll be or not. We will make our way in. It's about 9:30 right now, just for my own mental timestamp. Look, there are the telltale moose tracks you always find in here. Those for reference, and then going that way. Allowing me a chance to kind of test out the motors on the gimbal and returning to the home point. And for a lovely pan of the immediate area, this is what we have. Just swat away some kind of annoying bug-like stinging, biting thing. Yeah, so we're past our rant portion. I guess we're into explorer mode now. I just got to remember the easiest way to get in here. It's been a few months since I've been here. Once I eliminate tracks or not. What is this annoying bug? It needs to go away. And not try to sneak up on my neck either. That's dirty pool. Then he gets down my shirt and he's biting up my back. Bastard. Bitey little bastard. That's what we'll call him. BLB. Which for those that can't tell a rhyme is bitey little bastard. Bump, 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 bump. Yeah, not a lot of tracks this time. All right, well, we're going deeper. I'm gonna actually at this point take a quick segment break and figure. Basically, the way in is by way of wading through the stream. So that is what we're going to do. We're going to link up with the stream and follow it and go from there. But before we, you really annoying little bug, what are you? And why do you have an obsession with landing on my face? I just heard animal noises. Yeah, I'm going to take a segment break and link up with the stream and go from there. And we'll come back in a bit.